What is going on, everyone? My name is the California Cougar, and welcome back to another episode of Survivor Season Series Review. Today, we talk about Survivor Philippines. This is the 25th season of Survivor, and it's also the season that a lot of people say saved Survivor, because the 4 seasons before that weren't very well received. So this is the first well-received season after Heroes versus Villains, and a lot of people say it saved Survivor. And it kind of did, honestly. I mean, it is the best season since Heroes versus Villains. For me, it's actually the best season since Survivor Tocantins, because I didn't think Heroes versus Villains was all that great, but that's in my review. I talk about that season in my review of Heroes versus Villains. But yeah, Survivor Philippines. Very, very, very good season. I am so glad that we finally got a great season after Heroes versus Villains. And it's also the first season where I think the returning players, one returning player on 3 tribes, I think that works really well. I think this season actually works the best. Even though 2 of the 3 returning players don't really do anything this season, they don't really bring anything to the table this season. They're just kind of old, washed-up versions of their original selves. And the people I'm referring to, of course, are Russell Swan and Mike Skupin. Russell Swan, I mean, he tries to be the leader that he was in Samoa, but ends up being one of the more hated people on his tribe, and as a result, doesn't even make the merge. And then Skupin, yeah, he's there, but he really doesn't do anything. He's just there. That's all he is. Jonathan Penner, however, comes back and he plays his best game ever, I think. He played so hard that, I mean, he didn't get voted out because people didn't like him. He got voted out because he was going to win the game. He had full control of the game at Final 7. It just so happened to be at that point where Abby Maria, we'll talk about her, she won a crucial immunity challenge that looked totally rigged for her to win, by the way, but we'll talk about that. And then that ended up screwing Penner over. But yeah, he was fantastic this season, and I'm glad we got to see him play the game the way he's always wanted to play the game. He was a leader, he was a good strategist, he made alliances, people liked him, people on the jury wanted to vote for him. He played a fantastic game, even though he only made it 30 days as opposed to 33 in Cook Islands. So yeah, really like Jonathan Penner this season. Some other players this season that we'll talk about. Abby Maria, I mentioned her, she was the villain of this season. Didn't like her, wasn't a fan. I'm not a fan of the players that are just there to be good TV. I'm not a fan of those types of players. I like watching people win challenges, strategize. I like those types of players. I don't like players unless of course it's Philip Shepard. Philip Shepard's a different story because he was just so entertaining while doing it. He made me laugh. Abby Maria never really made me laugh. She just annoyed the hell out of me. So, yeah, that's really it with her. Lisa, I mean, I liked Lisa. She was obviously a sweetheart, but this season, she's just not a very good Survivor player. I mean, her best move of the season was trying to get rid of Malcolm, which she failed to do until the Final 4. So, yeah, not really too much else to say about her. She's just kind of there to be the television star. You have Malcolm and Denise, of course. They're the 2 superstars of this season. The 2 remaining Matt Singh members. Both were fantastic. Either of them would have won and I would be happy. Denise was the one that ended up winning because a lot of people thought Malcolm was more likable. Although at the reunion show, it was revealed that if Malcolm and Denise had both gone to the finals, most people still would have voted Denise, which I found interesting. So, yeah, Denise, obviously she went to every single tribal council. She was the first player to ever do that and win the season. So, yeah, she obviously, and she was in danger at a lot of those tribal councils too. They were going to vote her off at a lot of those tribal councils. But she either had immunity or there was someone else that was a bigger threat that was there every time. But yeah, her name was brought up quite a lot, so it's kind of impressive what she did this season. I thought she was fantastic. And of course, Malcolm, he was my favorite that season. He was fantastic. He should have won the Fan Favorite Award. I think Lisa won it. I don't know how. Malcolm absolutely should have won it. But yeah, he was awesome. Great at challenges. Good strategist. Made a lot of good alliances. Great player. Loved Malcolm this season. And then, of course, you have some of the other casts. There were some duds this season, I will say. There were definitely some duds. I already brought up Russell and Mike Skupin. But then you have players like Carter, who are just there to be, challenge beasts, I guess. That's the real reason he was voted off, and because he didn't piss off anybody on the jury. Otherwise, he didn't really talk a lot. Katie or Penner. Katie or Denise. Pretty much says it all about him. Just kind of this vanilla challenge beast type character. Wasn't really doing it for me. I didn't dislike him. He was just kind of boring, I guess. And then I already talked about Abby, and how annoying she was. I already talked about Penner. Pete, he was okay, I guess. Artist didn't really do much for me. Who else was there? RC was fine. I didn't like her that much, but she was okay. Jeff Kent was entertaining. I liked him a lot. I do wish he had gone farther. And, he was so into the whole, oh, people are going to vote me off because they don't think I need the money. But he managed to get pretty far for that. Only Dawson knew who he was, I feel like. Because she was a sportscaster, kind of like Danny Boatwright in Survivor Guatemala with Gary Hogaboom. He made it all the way to the final 10, so pretty good for him. And obviously, I think he's a Hall of Fame caliber baseball player, but that's a different video. Yeah, I already talked about RC. Some of the pre-merge boots, like Angie. Angie was funny. Cookies. I laughed at that moment. It was just so out of left field, so funny. Katie was whatever. Dawson was pretty cool. Her kissing Jeff before she left tribal council when she was voted off. That was kind of funny. Dana, poor girl, got medevaced. Well, she wasn't necessarily medevaced. She quit because she was so sick and in a lot of pain. So, yeah, that was Dana's situation. And again, I already talked about Katie and Dawson. And Angie, Zane. Zane was entertaining for a first boot. He's one of the more entertaining first boots, I think. I already talked about Russell. And then Roxy was just kind of whatever. So that's the cast. The cast was alright. It had a lot of big players, but it also had a lot of duds. Overall, I think it was fine. I think the big players like Denise, Malcolm, Penner, Jeff Kent, I think those definitely made up for all the duds this season. For sure. Abby was annoying, but a lot of people thought she was entertaining, so good for that. But yeah, some of the moments this season that I really liked. The challenge in the pre-merge where it's basically a dead stalemate where they're trying to push a ball into a goal, and it's just the first round is just a dead stalemate that goes on for over an hour. And Jeff expects to play to 3 points. You're in the first round, nobody has any points. This is going to go on for hours, if not days. And then Calabao offers okay, you give us this reward, we'll give you the rest of our rice. So yeah, that's how that went. That was entertaining. Malcolm just being an absolute challenge beast, especially in that one challenge where they're launching balls and he has to catch them in a net. He just absolutely beasted that challenge and brought the Tandang tribe back. He was the strongest member of Matt Singh by far. But yeah, Matt Singh just completely imploding. Russell Swan just going off after losing every challenge. That was entertaining. Malcolm and Denise, of course, being the alliance that no one thought would ever form, but they did somehow. Two completely different people that you never think would come together. And that they come together and they make it all the way to the Final Four. Who would have thought that those two would make it that far? after their tribe was absolute dog ass in the first 4 immunity challenges. And then, of course, you have you have moments where, gosh, I lost my train of thought. What was I going to talk about? Yeah, I already talked about Malcolm beasting it out in challenges, Angie being terrible at pretty much everything, Russell Swan looking for the hidden immunity idol with like the flash on the screen and all that, saying like, this dummy just walked by the idol 5 times without seeing it, and sure enough, that's exactly what happens. Yeah, Malcolm and Denise are the ones who end up finding it. And then you have the post-merge moments where everyone, like Jeff Kent wants to get rid of Penner. He's tired of returning players, but decides against it and ends up getting voted off because of it, because Penner voted for Abby instead of Pete, which would have tied the vote and possibly resulted in Mike Scoopin or Lisa flipping. Everyone getting tired of Abby's shenanigans. That was funny. You have the RC vote where Penner plays his idol, and then RC gets voted off because of it. The Final 4 immunity challenge where Malcolm wins an advantage, ends up doing nothing with it. Lisa wanting to get rid of Malcolm. The loved ones visit was alright this season. There were a lot of great moments, and I do think Denise is a deserving winner. Yeah, Penner coming up with that one strategy in the challenge where he digs up like every single bag instead of like getting one and then the next person digging up another one. Like, he digs up every single one, puts them all in a corner, ends up winning his team the challenge. Like, that was great. Like, there were a lot of great moments this season that I really enjoyed. I don't think this season is perfect, but I do think this season is the best one since Survivor Tocantins. So with that being said, it's time to score this season. And yeah, it's the Survivor comeback, as I like to call it, because again, the previous 4 seasons were very, very poorly received by critics and fans alike. So it was a nice return for Survivor this season brought. So yeah, with that being said, I'm going to give Survivor Philippines an 8 out of 10. And once again, the season's not a perfect return to form for Survivor, but nonetheless, I do think it is a very good return for Survivor to actually have a good season for once. It was the season that saved Survivor. What can I say? That's really all there is to it. And yeah, I do think this is the best use of the captains concept, where you bring back returning players, despite 2 of the 3 returning players being scrubs of their former selves. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed this season. So let me know down in the comments below, what did you think of this season? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let me know down below. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video. Make sure to hit the subscribe button down below if you want to see more. And next week, we are going to talk about Survivor Caramoan, the 26th season of Survivor. So once again, make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for that. And until that next review, once again, my name is the California Cougar. And always remember to stay California cool. Peace!